Hello lovely people, I'm K3N and welcome to my channel. In this video I want to talk about log cabins. Now I plan on there being a series of various things log cabin related. Just to be clear, this is the cloth kind. I'm not going to be building actual cabins, not in this video anyway. But it's something that I've loved for a long time. I think it was one of the earliest things I made when I gravitated away from English paper piecing, which was, I patchworked like that for years and years. That was my heritage. And my log cabins have evolved, so I've tried various different kinds, machine pieced, hand pieced, folded log cabins and so on, and I'll show you some of those bigger pieces in a little bit. But now I use the log cabin techniques in a kind of, I wouldn't say it's a unique way, it's my way. It's, sort of a variation on how to put them together. So I'm going to show you that in a little bit as well. So this video will be an introduction, a brief, can I do brief? Talk about different kinds of log cabins and log cabin type things. And then future videos I'll talk about putting the blocks together and maybe make some little projects using log cabin blocks as well. So for now I'm going to link over to my little bit of handheld, hope it's not too wobbly, and then we'll be back. This is a big cushion, obviously, that I made, I don't know how long ago, a few years ago, that I use for sitting up in bed. And the centre panel is cloth weaving with some embroidery and applique and stuff going on in it. But what I really wanted to show you was the border, which is log cabins. Excuse the lead, that's my microphone, so hopefully you can hear me. Which are made from indigo dyed cloth with the traditional red centre, which represents the hearth. And then the cream cloth is grungy old cloth, tea dyed, and some eco prints and stuff like that So how I've laid them out is with the dark, i.e. the blue, coming to the inside on the corners. And if I can get back far enough, if my lead lets me, you see that it makes kind of a square shape or a cross shape. And in fact I see that I've done 3 corners with the cream and then 1 corner with the blue, kind of echoing the colours within the cloth weave. But you can, I think there are nearly endless variations of how to lay out log cabin blocks, and I'll show you in one of my books a little bit later some of the many variations. But this is using log cabins just as the border rather than the whole quilt. What I love, one of the things I love about them is you can get many different fabrics within one piece, and it just gives you so many opportunities for variation, and also the textures, and yeah, I love them. I love them, which is why this is going to be a whole series. So that's my big cushion. Try to get it out of the way, excuse my hand coming in. Now this one underneath, I just had to go looking for it because I couldn't find it. This and its matching lap quilt were the first log cabins I ever made. Now this, I found it eventually out on the terrace. We've got a covered terrace and there are old sofas out there. And this was on one of the sofas outside. So it's got really faded. Just to show you, this border fabric here is on the back, which hasn't been exposed to the sun, was that colour. So that's how faded it's got, and that's obviously a commercial cloth. Excuse the lead for the microphone, but actually I really like it now, and it's got torn and worn, and there's the wadding underneath. I must have used wadding for the foundation squares, and I'm really, maybe get that off there and do some more stitching on it or something. But anyway, so that was my first ever. I don't know what happened to the lap quilt. I know it ended up as a dog bed, and I don't know what happened to it after that. This is, I call it the overlap quilt. It's been on the go for a number of years, and I call it the overlap because it's a lap quilt, and because instead of seaming the strips, they're all laid on, just raw edge, and then running stitch down. And the gold cloth was dyed with brown onion skins, and the green cloth was dyed with red onion skins with some rusty iron thrown in, which turns it green. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. The layout is called Sunshine and Shadows, if I'm not mistaken. Whether I'm going to work more into it, or I have done some fancy stitching into it at one point. You see there, I did start, there's a little boat that's upside down. See the little boat? and added some bits of lace and so on. But I've barely started that stage. I keep thinking maybe I'll just take it apart to get the cloth out of it, but then I can't bring myself to. So at the moment it's just on hold. It's a whip. It's a work in progress. So I get that out of the way. And underneath that, sorry, I've got my arm caught around my microphone lead now. Underneath that is a folded log cabin. It's hard to get it all in. I'll go over here. There we go. That's more or less all of it. Which I made on the sewing machine a long time ago, and it lives over the back of a sofa. So it's got all a bit, you know, crumpled and rumpled where people lean on it, and, you know, people slump down, don't they, and then they push themselves back up again, and that's what's happening. But anyway, excuse me. But this was done on the sewing machine, and it's not a Manx quilt, or I'll talk about those later, but it's simply folded. I'm trying to find somewhere where you can see clearly, maybe here where it's light and dark. It would help if it was in shot. You see the line of machine stitching on that paisley fabric there. Because there you're going through 5 layers. I wouldn't want to make one of these by hand, because you've got, this is a strip folded double, the paisley, and then it's stitched underneath to this other strip, also folded double, and then there's a backing square, a foundation square. So every time you're going through 5 layers of cloth. And the reason you've got this kind of curved effect is simply, there are no curved lines, all the lines are straight, but it's an optical illusion because the logs, try not to wobble, the logs, which is what you call them, you know, like log cabin logs, in the cream are very narrow. I think that's about 1/4 of an inch showing there. Can you see that? Let's find somewhere, but there, maybe that's easier. Oops, excuse me. Here, you see they're about 1/4 of an inch wide, and then the darker fabrics are 1/2 an inch wide, or maybe 3/4 of an inch. I can't remember. Anyway, those are much thinner than those, which gives the optical illusion of the curves. And that's one of the many things I love about log cabins. And that's really scrappy. That was all kinds of odds and ends that people gave me, or, you know, leftovers from my own projects. And that lives on the back of the sofa, as I said. So I think that's it for the bigger pieces. Oh, I've got this other piece on the wall in progress, but some of it's downstairs. Sorry, that was my finger over the lens. That's a piece that I'm in the process. It's actually twice that size, but the other bits, I've taken one bit down to show you up close, and the other bit's downstairs because I'm stitching on it. So I'll stop this wobbliness, and I'll go and sit down, and I'll show you some smaller pieces and talk a bit more. Okay. Okay, so I'm back. I'm back at my desk. So that's just a little block. I'll show you that in a minute. These are just some things that I've made using log cabins, smaller things, so I thought it was handier to show them here. This is a stitch journal, a completed stitch journal. I'm not going to do a flip through now, that would be seriously off topic, but just to show you the cover is actually 4 log cabin blocks. So if you look here, you can see the outline of one of them. So there's the little red centre, and there's the light side, and there's the dark side represented by the blue. And that's just 4 little blocks put together. I did lots and lots of more stitching over the top, and I stitched on some, you know, some things. But it's really muted fabric, and I think even after I'd made it, I tea-dyed it again to get this really sort of old, worn look. And all these are sewn on in the same way as the overlap quilt, so I think I can't see any seams. They're all raw edge. So that's that little journal, quite a big journal actually. And this is the piece that I talked about as part of the wall hanging. So this is 6 log cabin blocks joined together. So if you kind of focus in on this one here, you'll see that I've gone away from, this is it. Can I fold it so you can see more clearly? I can at least fold 2 sides of it. You see I've gone away from, and I put my hand over that. I've gone away from the light and dark because I was using the blocks to make that whole piece. So it was more about the overall look of the whole piece. So then within the blocks, I used light, dark, different colours, whatever, but I had an overall plan for how I wanted the whole quilt to look. So there was a little centre square there. You see I've stitched a big X in it, but it was way off centre. And then there were some lights, some browns, and a little bit of red around the edge. And then if you look at it in its 6 again, you'll see that then I've sort of related the browns in this come through into the browns there, and then into there, and then the reds come down. The seam is there, so then the reds come down into the adjacent block. So rather than doing it, you know, it was made block by block, but I had an overall plan. So you can use the log cabin block as a means of making, you know, I suppose you call it an art quilt or a piece of textile art or whatever. And now I'm doing my usual restrained light, with a light hand stitching into it. I'm being sarcastic in case you didn't notice. And that's for a wall hanging. I talked a little bit about the layouts, the possible layouts, so I just wanted to refer you to this. Sorry if it's glary, I'll angle it. This is a book I've had for a long, long time. This is Judy Martin's Log Cabin Quilt book. This is all based on making it by machine and rotary cutting accurately and so on. I mean, it's a nice book if you like log cabins. It's the book, I would say, for classic log cabins. Lots of lovely patterns in. But I just wanted to show you, and I've used as a bookmark. Look at this. It's a little log cabin bookmark. A little mini quilt. Anyway, but here, the angle so you don't get the reflection. I use these glossy pages. You see here are some of the traditional layouts, so barn raising with the lights and barn raising, 2 different variations with the dark in the middle and the light in the middle. Do you see there? That starts with the light, that starts with the dark. The straight furrows, sunshine and shadow, unnamed. Streak of lightning, zigzags. Then you see it goes on and on and on. All these different, you can make stars and, diamond shapes. There's pages of it, and I don't even think it's comprehensive. These funny little, like M shapes. They look like seahorses to me. In fact, what happened to that? Years ago, I made a quilt using log cabins of seahorses. I don't know what it means. Oh, I think I sold it. I'll see if I can find a photograph, but I'm not hopeful. It was many years ago. See, it's just endless possibilities. And all these layouts are with one simple block. Those are her slightly more complex blocks. But with one simple block, put the book away because the glaring is annoying. Like this. All those layouts are possible with blocks made like this, with one side dark and one side light. And I love that it's such a simple thing, but then you put, a certain number of them together in a certain way, and you get those really complex patterns. Now this little one was just made by hand. You can see the stitching on the back. Can you see that? Because this was just the foundation square that I stitched to. There's no wadding in it. That's also with log cabins. Sometimes you don't put wadding in. You use a foundation square. You can put wadding if you want it, really thick and cosy, or batting. So this is the centre square representing the hearth, traditionally red, like I said, and then the strips are all cut the same width, the same size, and then pieced on. And you see here, this one's the same size as the centre square, so that was pieced on first, and then I've gone this way. So that's the next piece, and then you just work your way out, alternating lights and darks. There are other variations where you put darks opposite and lights opposite. That's called courthouse steps and so on. But I nearly always, if I'm doing lights and darks, do it like this. So I'll limit myself because, it's endless. I've got these 4 as well, slightly bigger ones. 4. I had 3 and I made an extra one, because I thought with these, and I have done these before but I haven't got any left, I've either gifted or sold them, I'll make a rice bag. And because that makes then a 3-dimensional form, for example, do you see there I've put it so the 2 lights are making this triangle shape. So then if you imagine you make a rice bag, as per my other video, you can again play with I like them with it's hard to show in 3D, can you see that? You see? You imagine that in a rice bag. I probably won't do a video of making the rice bag because it'll be exactly the same process as the other one, but I will show it when it's done, somewhere in probably in a future log cabin video. So those 4 are destined to be a little rice bag. And these are bigger blocks again, and these show some of the, do you see that's done folded, but I haven't gone through the under one. And then that's a raw edge, and then some of them are conventionally seamed, that's just a normal seam folded back. That's a raw edge. So now I tend to mix it up within one block, and these are just 2 little blocks that I've made. Not entirely sure for what yet, but there's a few of them about the place. So that was a little introduction to log cabins and why I like them, and what I do with them. So the next video, which will be part 1, this being kind of an introduction, I'll show you how to make a basic block. So here I've already made some because I thought I'm going to make a new journal, and I'm going to have a log cabin cover. So in the next video I'll show you how to make one little block like that, so look out for that. And meanwhile, thank you for watching, and I look forward to you joining me next time for more cloth tales. Bye bye.